Hello everyone, welcome to the French Cottage speed build. As you guys know, this house was built for Frenchrxses, otherwise known as Noelle. I was so excited when she reached out to me a couple months ago asking if I was able to build a house for her, and of course I said yes, because who wouldn't? And it was so much fun. I learned a lot through this process, but I literally am so obsessed with the result. It was so much fun to build for her. It is such an honor because I've always loved Noelle. And yeah, I had so much fun with this build. This is something that I've been meaning to build for a while but just haven't, and so when she showed me some inspiration pictures, she left it very open for me to kind of play around with and decide what I wanted to do. But of course, I kind of wanted to match her style and aesthetic a little bit, and it wouldn't be Frenchrxses without pink and just florals everywhere. So I really tried to deliver that to the best of my abilities, and I had so much fun playing with all of the wallpaper and the patterns, and I feel like it all came together very nicely, even though I did struggle initially at first trying to get the interior to the right color palette that I was envisioning. But once I got that, I felt like it went really fast and it was just so fun. I keep saying that, but truly I had such a fun time building this. It was just amazing. So thank you so much to Noelle for letting me build on her plot and just allowing me to build for her. It was like literally so fun. Okay, now for a little bit more about the build and a little bit of background and like the process behind it. I saw a couple comments asking more about like the process, and I definitely want to showcase that more in some future upcoming videos. But Noelle sent me a ton of different like kind of directions of like completely different builds, but just really beautiful. And I kind of felt like pink and just having the French vibe was kind of like a common theme between all of the pictures, and I just felt like that was very fitting for her. And so I was like, I think we have to kind of do it this way. And she was just very open to everything, and I just had so much fun kind of playing around with like what kind of French cottage or what kind of French house do I want, because there is a couple different French houses styles, and I didn't want to be huge and massive because that's going to take so much time and money and plot data. So I wanted to find something a little bit out of my comfort zone that I haven't done, and something that wasn't very small and cottage like, but also not huge like a chateau or something like that. So I kind of landed here. It's a little bit more of a suburban style French provincial house, but I kind of loved it. I kind of wanted it to be a little bit more like cottage vibes, but very much modern, like it's in the suburbs, and it still has that charm of the French countryside and all of the overgrowth, but also still is kind of updated and has kind of those modern elements a little bit. And so that was kind of a fun thing to work with. I sent her a lot of mood boards back and forth of kind of like what I was picturing, and it is just funny to look back at those mood boards and see how much the build has truly changed a little bit. Because sometimes when I work on things, I change things because you can never know what you're dealing with or how it's gonna look until you actually start working on it. And that's what I find so beautiful about, I guess, like just everything in design. It's so much fun. And so yeah, that's kind of how it started, and I apologize because this speed build I do take a couple of different directions of changing things. So you will notice that I start making the garage more enclosed in the house. It kind of goes out and makes it, what do you even call it? It just makes it more angled. But I kind of felt like it made it too crammed and I wanted to be more open, so I decided to change it a little bit and push it back, which is actually what I originally did, but I just felt like I wanted to see what it looked like for that way. So you can just kind of copy the concepts, but just know that I will delete it and then like remove it, but I still keep a lot of the similar assets. So something to keep in mind if you are recreating this. There is also so many small little details in this house I added just for Noelle, and I think they're so cute. I'm gonna make another like video talking about all the little details, but one, there's so many cute heart elements like everywhere throughout the house, and I just think that's so special and cute, and it's something that I haven't like done a ton of, like all those details, but it was amazing and it came out so well, I feel like, and it was just so cute and like perfect, I think, for Noelle. I also added a fashion, or like an office, but it was specifically for like a fashion designer, which I know someday in the future Noelle wants to do fashion, and so it just felt very appropriate to make this office, this like home office, but it kind of showcases all these design projects and fashion, and so I really loved that, and that was something, again, that was out of my comfort zone that I haven't really done before. It was just all very personalized, and I just love that. Like, it's just so fun to add that personality and those personal touches into houses, which I don't do a ton because a lot of the times I build for myself. And so I just had so much fun doing the little details. And then, I don't know if you guys noticed, but on the living room there's a magazine, and I edited a magazine to have little pictures of Noelle on her Instagram, just so that it looks really highly like a fashion magazine, but it's actually Noelle on them, and it's so cute. And yeah, I just had fun making a ton of little details like that throughout the whole space, and adding the fashion elements of like the dresses hanging over the dressers in the bedrooms, and the little hearts all over the dining room chairs. Just little details like that I think added so much to this project. So that is your sign to really focus on all the little small details. Everything matters, and they do make such a big difference. So go add more details to your builds. I promise you, they all make a big difference. I also wanted to mention that all of the furniture works. It's a little hard to tell. All the living room furniture, sofas, they all work. I put little stools under the basic shapes so you could sit on them. And the kitchen, it's all real counters and stools. So are the dining room chairs. They are all workable and usable, so you can sit and enjoy, dinner at the table, and they're not fake. Also, I didn't mention this, but the kitchen has a workable fridge. It's also hiding behind a basic shape by the sink. So there's a fully functional kitchen. I know sometimes I forget to add the fridge for some reason, but trust me, there's a fridge here, and it's just hiding under a basic shape, so it's more custom, which, no one wants a really ugly boxy fridge. We wanted to hide them and make them beautiful. So that's what I did here, and that's just a goal I have in every house, is to just make all of the things workable, but also beautiful. And so that adds an extra challenge of trying to find the BLOXBURG furniture, but modifying it to make it look really pretty and custom, but it still works. And I feel like that's something that is just so nice to do, because BLOXBURG is not only a building game but also a role-playing game. And unfortunately, I just feel like a big issue with BLOXBURG in the community lately is the lack of role-playing. And I'm not saying you have to role-play. I'm not a huge role player, but I do think that makes it really fun for the role players and just people to have workable furniture, so it makes it easier and fun to role play. I just think it's kind of fun to bring the community back in that way. And who doesn't love a good challenge? I always think it's just fun to add that extra challenge of limiting myself a little bit and then making it a little hard. And that's just like a beauty I've been realizing lately, is to just like those challenges, things that are hard, that is like the beauty of it. Like, they should be a little bit hard, they should be more challenging, because it makes you think outside the box and just get those creative juices flowing. And so yeah, that's something that I've learned a lot, especially because Lucas, or 𝙂𝘼𝐼𝙈, he really, when we worked on a couple of projects together, he always would make all of his furniture very workable and always made that big emphasis, and I really love that. And I just really took that to heart, because before him I would just kind of build custom things, and like, yes, they would look good, but again, I think that adds another whole like level of creativity, is to kind of have that constraint on yourself that maybe you can't do custom. And here, I'm not saying that I always do 100% workable furniture and stuff, but I really try my best to do that. So especially now, I just think it's just so fun to do that. But I definitely will probably do like, you know, fully custom furniture pieces. I know I've done that in my Parisian apartment. Those dining chairs and stools were not like BLOXBURG furniture at all. But so I'm not saying I'm never ever gonna do like that again, but I've just been really trying to push myself to make all the furniture and a lot of things workable. And something I really want to see in BLOXBURG is to have like a lot more like chairs and stuff that are really open, so you can really have fun playing with how they look. And also doors. I feel like we need a lot of new doors and things that we can do. I love the secret flush doors because you can add the structures to them and they still open and function, but like the glass doors are so hard, because that's like the one thing I can't get to work, are the glass doors, because the ones we have in game right now are just super boring and they're so, I don't know, boxy. But I really want to have like a custom glass door that works, like a double door that works, and we just haven't gotten a ton of really good ones yet. And so I'm hoping that they add some new doors somewhat soon, because I think that'll make a big difference. Alright, right now I am working on the windows and I'm about to start the roof. And let me tell you, I am like no longer afraid of doing custom roofs and like vaulted ceilings. Sometimes I used to really dread it, but I feel like I found a lot of good methods lately on how to make it really easy and not so like hard, because there is quite a bit of math and like, I don't know, problem solving you have to do to figure out some of the roofs. But I feel like I've been doing a lot of builds that require such custom roofs now that I am feeling like such a pro about it all. And I'm debating about making a video about how to build like roofs a lot faster and easier, like making custom roofs, because unfortunately we still don't have the mechanics to have a hollow roof and have it like all kind of conjoined together if you want a vaulted ceiling or some really custom roof. And so I'm thinking about making a video that would just be really quick tips and how to make a foolproof roof or custom roof, and kind of like your guide to building a ton of different roofs and all of that, because I feel like that is probably the worst part of building, is doing the roof. And even though I know these hacks, it's still very painful, but it is not all that bad once you kind of figure out what to do. And so you're seeing that here, a little bit of what I'm doing is I'm just building, basically just using a roof, and I'm gonna delete it, but I'm just gonna make it here to kind of show me a guideline of how the angles should be. And then once you kind of have the angles, you don't delete the roof yet, you're just gonna kind of keep going around the whole roof to make sure the angles are all perfect, and then you can delete it and you'll have like this shell of all these basic shapes you made. But there's a lot more that goes into it too, so let me know if you're interested, because I think that's something that could be very helpful and stuff to a lot of people, especially because We have the transform tool now, and I know a lot of people still don't have the transform tool, so another element of that video could be using structurals to make these tools or make these roofs too, because you can make custom roofs without the transform tool. It is a lot harder, I will say, to do so, but you can. It is possible. We had the transform tool kind of, wait, how long has it been? A couple years by now. But trust me, people were building vaulted ceilings and really complex roofs without the transform tool, so it is possible. And I can show more of those hacks because I feel like they're a little bit lost now because people rely on the transform tool so much. And I will always say that you can almost make anything without using the transform tool, but it definitely, the transform tool just saves so much time, and it's just so convenient. So unfortunately I won't be building without it, but I can still share those tips just because it is the lost art of building without the transform tool, which is a very good game pass. If you're considering buying it, I highly recommend doing so because it is amazing. It's been a while since I've done some life updates and just talked more about my life, so I thought I would do so now. I don't even know if I've mentioned this before on my voiceovers, but basically I took a whole year off of school. I graduated with a 2-year degree in interior design, and I took a year off because I wasn't sure if I wanted to go back to school and do the whole thing and continue going there. Even though I love school so much, I really do love it, I just was like not sure if I really wanted to continue going to school and get my 4 years in it. And I kept thinking about it for a whole year. I was working a lot at this other company and it was fun, great, whatever. So I didn't go back to school that summer, but I took a whole year off to kind of like figure out my life, and I decided to go back to school. So I officially am back at college, and I am doing my 4-year degree in interior design, and I'm really loving it so far. I thought I was going to be a lot more scared to go back because after being gone for a whole year from the academic setting, I thought I was going to be like actually terrified and like be behind, and just it's always so hard to like adjust to like new environments, like new people, and I've loved it so far. It's been a great experience, and I haven't had a ton of problems like getting back into the school thing. I feel like everyone has a little bit of a hard time adjusting from summer into school, but being gone for a whole year, I thought I was gonna have a way harder time, and it was pretty good. But it was just really funny because I came to school the first day and I was a little bit late because I could not find my classes, and I show up to class, and something about like, I don't know if this is just my college or around here, but the interior design program, it's a very much more of a cohort. Like, so you follow, like once you're kind of in this like group, you kind of follow each other around your whole schedule. Like they all take the same classes as you. They, for the most part, like they take the same classes. You're just a very, like, you just follow each other basically through all the years, and you get to know each other really well and like how each person works. And that was like how it was at my old college, but I came here and I wasn't really sure if that was still a big thing here. And so I walked in the first day and I was a little bit late, and I was kind of expecting that might happen, but they all literally were like, "Oh my gosh, Gwen, oh my gosh, like, how are you? Where are you from?" Like, they were like super like just question. I was like not ready for that. Like, I walked in just waiting to kind of sit down, maybe go over the syllabus, but they were all like, "Oh my gosh, Gwen, like, where are you from? Where'd you come from? Like, what are your goals? What are you doing?" Like, all of this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is crazy. Like, they all kept coming up to me and like introducing themselves to me, and that's just something I did not expect. I was not expecting to walk in on my first day and I kind of felt like everyone already knew me, or like they were all very much expecting me, which it was just a really like funny experience. I kind of felt like I was Truman Showed, if you know what that means. And then the whole class, when we were going over the syllabus and stuff, I kept getting called out like, "Oh, Gwen, have you done this before? Have you done this?" And it was just really funny. But honestly, now that I've kind of settled in with the school and like know my peers and stuff now, I can like look back and kind of laugh. But the first day, it was still a really good first day. I just remember just like walking in, kind of minding my business. I knew I was a little late. I was kind of embarrassed, and then just being like, oh my gosh, like this is just insane. Like everyone was like waiting for me. They were expecting me, and then they were like, it was just, I felt very supported, but it was just like I just was not expecting that at all, and it was just so funny. So yeah, I have just been spending this last month or so kind of getting back into the swing of school and all of juggling all those different things. And honestly, going back to school after being gone for a year has made me a lot more productive. I feel like it's a night and day switch. Like it's just crazy. Even though I was working a lot more in the last year and stuff, I just feel like going to school, it makes me just lock in. Like it just makes me so much more productive because I have to balance my time a lot more efficiently. I don't have time to waste. I have to do my homework. I have to go do YouTube. I have to go to like work. Like it's just a lot. But I honestly just feel like having that pressure makes me work a lot better, and it gives me more motivation. And so honestly, it's been really good. I love everything so far. Life is good. And yeah, I had a great summer too, just catching up and relaxing. I know I said this in my last voiceover, but I always feel like the summers, they always make me a little bit less productive because all of my friends come home from college and they're just like, I want to hang out. I want to hang out. And the weather is perfect, so how can you say no? You want to spend every moment outside, soaking up the sun and getting tan. And yeah, it's just harder for me to sit down at a computer sometimes and like work on this, but this was my project for the whole summer. I actually was not expecting this to take me the whole summer to do, but it did. But I literally love the results so much, and I think it was time well spent because I just love it so much. But yeah, school definitely kicking me in my butt and getting me going, but it's honestly for the best because I have never felt more motivation to continue YouTube and keep that up. And I feel like now with this build, I've actually like kind of caught up. Like you don't see it yet, but I have a couple videos under my belt that are kind of getting ready to be pushed out and be like edited and stuff. I just have to like edit them, but they're there. The concept is there, the builds are there. I just have to like edit them and post them and stuff. So I'm super excited for the future, and I keep saying that, so I want to knock on wood and just say, you know, take it with a grain of salt because I seem to always fall off a little bit, but I am really excited to like do this. I feel like this time I actually have a really solid plan and I got like ahead, so I feel like I can't fail me now because I normally am like always doing things last minute, but I feel like this time I'm getting a lot more ahead. So I'm very excited for that. But yeah, I think I'm going to end the voiceover here. I know it's a little bit on the shorter side, but I have a lot of commentary videos that I want to get out, so I want to save more of the talking for those videos. And so before I go, my plan right now is to post commentary videos of the build where I talk through like my decisions and kind of things in life, and then the next video would be a full speed build and it would only be music. That way people who just want to watch for entertainment can watch the commentary video, and then people who just want to like copy it and see the full process can watch the speed build without having to hear my annoying voice. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, just because that will give me like kind of double the content in the way and just make my life easier and more active, which is great because I obviously, no matter what I say or do, I just somehow cannot stay active. And so I feel like adding this way will make it easier for me. It will add some more time between videos for me to just finalize and get done, because life is hard, school is hard, balancing it all is hard. And so this will make it easier for me to just do it and just keep posting. So I'm really excited for that. And yeah, exciting big things to come. I'm so excited to finally post this video. And thank you again for Noelle for commissioning me to build this for her. Again, I had such a fun time. Noelle is so amazing and lovely, and it was so fun to work with her on this project. And yeah, thank you so much for listening and tuning in today. I hope you guys enjoyed the speed build, and I will see you guys in the next voiceover.
you.